Definite signs of a housing market bubble about to pop. You guys ready? Let me show you this article. 2021 sees the most cash out refis in nearly 2 decades, says Black Knight. And Black Knight's notorious for being data stuff on mortgages and housing markets, all that. So borrowers pulled out $275 billion in equity, the most in 2 decades. Homeowners took out a record $1.2 trillion in cash out refis in 2021, the most since 2005. Oh my goodness, that's the top of the bear bar, the top of the market. Oh, it's going to be like that now. And tapped in $275 billion in home equity, according to the latest mortgage monitor report. In the fourth quarter alone, borrowers tapped a record $80 billion, marking the largest quarterly volume in years. It's the fifth consecutive quarter of more than 1 million cash out refis, according to the report. Let's see. And here's the kicker. Notice this is buried. The data show that homeowners are now withdrawing more of their available equity than they were before COVID, but they're only withdrawing at half the rate of what they were in 2006. Now, they also give a little sales pitch. If you're interested in top your home equity, you consider this. I thought that's kind of funny. Home price growth accelerates in January. Now, imagine that flatten off to some regard or slow down the deceleration. The number of cash out mortgage refinances grew due to several factors, including an increase in home values and low interest rates. Home price growth accelerated for the third consecutive month in January, with the average home rising 19% annually. The increase is just below July's record of 19.5%. On a monthly basis, the average home price rose more than 1% in January, and the upward trend was dominant enough that about 75% of major U.S. markets were seeing home price appreciation. All right, so let's talk about this, because this is not scary at all, in my opinion. Let's use some stuff with Sniffy Joe on the strength of the economy. Sales increased by X amount of percent. So I'm going to share with you why you can't just look at the numbers. You got to dive deeper. You have to. Sadly, journalism has always been corrupt. These guys, it's just nuts. And that's why you turn to people like me to say, hey, what you're hearing isn't the truth. I mean, it's the truth, but it's not the full truth. It's embarrassingly simple here. So, all right, if you sell 10 widgets at $10 each, what is your sales? You have total sales of $100, right? Total sales of $100. If you sell 9 widgets at $11.50 each, you have total sales of what? $103.5. So you can say, as the federal government is wont, that the sales increased by 3.5% year over year. We did sell $100. Now we sold $103.5, so it's actually increased. That's a sign of economic growth. However, you have to pull back the hood and say, but the actual number of sales went down, Sniffy Joe. Thus, that's not a sign of a healthy, certainly not a growing economy, because unless we have some significant productivity of our labor force, which we're not, that means we have too many people making too few goods, so people are going to have to be laid off because we hired a number of people in order to produce 10 widgets. Because of inflation, now we're only selling 9. We still have the same amount of people to produce 10, and they're only producing 9. That means productivity has dropped down. As such, we can't keep these people unemployed. That's bad. But you will never hear that in economics. They'll say, oh my goodness, the sales growth has accelerated at 3.5%. Oh my goodness, insane. And this is the exact same thing in the opposite. This is just freaking mind-bogglingly stupid. I mean, it's true, but it's stupid that and they're not Fox or whoever is saying it's negative, but you can kind of get the gist. Homeowners took out a record $1.2 trillion in cash out refis in 2001, the most since 2005. All right, so let's take a break. All right, so here's 2005, the housing price index right there. What they say, July of 2005, is that what they said? Right there. Was 174. All right, so your average house was $174,000. Fast forward to 2022, this is the median. I'm not sure if it's the average or the median. We'll just use the average. It doesn't matter. I mean, it kind of does, but not that much because we're comparing the same numbers. All right, so it's $174,000 is your average house price in the United States in July of 2005. Now it's $278,000. You've gone up by, I don't know what it is, 33%. So if you're taking 1.5 trillion what was it? Let's go back to the numbers here. We're doing 1.2 trillion of cash out refis on housing stock that is only worth each house is only worth 175. That's a whole lot different than a 1.2 trillion cash out refis on a housing stock that's each house is worth 278,000 bucks. I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's like retirees took out a record $1 trillion from their portfolios in 2022, which is the most they've taken out since 2005. And you're like, yeah, but 17 years has gone by. Of course, because we've had significant growth in those last 17 years. But this is even worse because you can see here, but they're only withdrawing half a rate they did in 2006, which means they still have a boatload of equity. Because you know why? The underwriting standards are higher. Remember back then, you could do a cash out refinance 100% loan to value. I remember USAA. I remember it was like yesterday. They sent me a teaser thing that says we'll give you 105% on loan to value on a home equity line of credit. This is USAA. This isn't some freaking sniffy Joe's fly-by-night bank with Hunter Biden at the helm. And you're like 105% loan to value. That means if my house was worth $100,000, I could borrow $105,000. Freaking, and people are doing that. These days aren't here. People still have tons of equity. And part two of this, I mean, you can't. I actually don't have a problem. I mean, I think about this too. I said, man, lock in while the getting's good. I mean, I'm not going to do it because I don't think housing market is I just don't think it's that threatened at all. I don't think it's going to have the same acceleration because the interest rates are going up. But with that said, it's like housing markets aren't, I want to go back again. So let's just make this a log. We're going to go to edit. All right, so just, again, what the log means, we're going to go over here. We're going to go to format. Always do the log on these kind of things. And we're going to show you it's just not the bubble that people make. It's just not, man. I'm just telling you. Yeah, why is it taking me? Why doesn't allow me to do that? Hold a second. All right, pause. No log. Whoa, look at that jump. Log. Not quite the same, is it? That doesn't look near. I mean, it's still big, don't get me wrong, but no log. Oh my goodness, it's a bubble. Log. And what does log mean again? Let me just show you what log means. 60 to 120 is the exact same thing as 120 to 240. All right, so that, because in percentages is all that matters. It doesn't matter in dollars, it matters is in percentages. All right, so if you look right here, we're at 174, 15 years ago. Oops, 15 years ago. Now we're at 278. Right now, and that's at the end of, I guess we got to get rid of that guy. 278, and we're just going to say 15 years. Yeah, 15 years. 15 is N. We've averaged, oops, 1 second. There we go. 178, boom. Let me pause this real quick. Average all of 3% a year in housing, the national housing stock since the top of the bear market, the top of the bull market in 2005. That's just not, I mean, look, man, it's just not that big of a deal. It's not a bubble. I'm sorry, it's just not. Now people say, oh yeah, but Josh, what about the bottom? All right, let's do that. 133. We'll just do 134. And so, oops. Let's screw that up. Oh my goodness. 134. We'll say 12, 15, 13 years. Okay, hold on a second. We'll do 134. That's not 15 years. That's is a present value. That's 10 years ago. 10 years N. 278 now. Zero payment should be about 7% a year. Yeah, about 7.5% a year. So from the bottom, we're averaging 7.5% a year. I mean, that's pretty significant. But it's coming off when we have this. I mean, it's just this. So 3%, 7%, you could split the difference and say 5%. It's just not a bubble, man. I'm sorry, it's not. There's not enough housing stock being built to make it a bubble. It's just not. All right, I mean, a bubble that's going to pop anytime soon. All right, so anyway, the point being is, yes, people are taking out more than they have ever done because the prices are so high. I mean, I sit there all the time and say, man, I should take some money out, just lock it in on a side account, just to basically lock in my house. But I'm not going to do that because I want my mortgage dead. I want it dead. I want the family dead. I want his friends dead. I want that mortgage dead. That's what I want because I don't want it. I don't want the mortgage. And especially as interest rates go up, I don't want to have to refi. I don't want to do anything with it. I don't want to refi and pay refi. I'm done with it, man. I'm 51 years old. I do not want a mortgage. So this is not a sign of a housing bubble. It's just not. It's just people are cashing out. Hopefully they're not spending the money on freaking sniffing up their nose buying a new Mercedes, freaking going to Thailand and, doing whatever people do in Thailand. Hopefully they're locking it aside for future needs. But you can't control people, man. People do what they got to do. I don't care. At the end of the day, though, stop. It's not a bubble. All right, we'll see you.